So, we've got 2 of these worksheets. This one is for 2 pizzerias, and then when we're done with this, I'll hand out the one for 3 pizzerias. They're done the same way. You can use this as a reference to do the next worksheet. So, they have, the town is Squaresville, because it's a square. They've got 2 pizzerias, and they want to divide the city into regions so that their pizza's delivered from the closer of the 2. Because if you just divided it right down the middle, anyone that lived right here would have to get their pizza from A, even though it's closer to B. So, we've got to put a line in there somehow to cut this city into 2 regions so that every house gets their pizza from the closest pizzeria. So what we got to do is a construction. Any idea which construction we would have to do to draw a line?
Bisector.
What kind of bisector?
Perpendicular
bisector. So the perpendicular bisector, you don't need to connect these 2. Okay, you can if you want.
Does it
Now,
help?
not really. But what you have to do is you have to construct the perpendicular bisector of the line that connects the 2 pizzerias. So remember the way you do that is you go from A, you keep your compass the same, you make a mark above it and below it. So you make a mark up here and here. And remember, your line's going to go through the middle somewhere. So you want to make your arc. It doesn't do any good to make your arc up over here. I wonder if this will work. Nope. So you make a mark above and below, and then you bring it over to B and make the same length. Don't move your compass. So you're going to have two lines, and then when you connect them, you'll get a line through there like that. So once you get your perpendicular bisector, this looks like it's pretty close. It should be something like that. So that's why you don't need this segment here. It doesn't hurt to have it in there, but all we're worried about is the line that cuts it in half, or cuts it into 2 segments.
You can erase that.
You can erase it if you want, but you don't need to.
We're not supposed to move our compass again.
After you draw this?
Yeah.
No, you're done now that you drew this.
You have to add a little right triangle.
Well, see, all we're concerned about is dividing this into 2 regions, so you don't need to label it. Everyone got their line through there?
Yeah.
Betcha.
So we can answer number 1. What did we have to construct to create the 2 regions? Perpendicular bisector. Number 2, if a house is located at the corner of C Street and 5th Street, there's C and 5th.
Oh, that's okay.
Which pizzeria would deliver?
A.
Now, number 3 is one where you may all get different answers on the next sheet too. They want the approximate area of each region to the nearest half block. So you need to count. So if you count the full blocks, this is 8, right? So there's 8 there, 8 more, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Now remember, I just sketched mine in, so you're going to have a different answer probably. Then when you count, well, I'll just keep counting the full ones. 1, 2, 3, 4 more.
How do you do it if it's like pretty almost a full?
Okay, count all your full ones. So I've got 28 full ones, but remember yours are gonna be different because mine's a sketch. Then you start combining. Like if I combine, it looks like this one and this one would make a full block. So you just put pieces together. Here, that's almost a full one right there, and then I could maybe combine it with that little piece there. This little piece and this piece. I'm just keeping track of them. And then I would say these two would form about a block. So on mine, I got 32. If I remember right, I think the actual answer is 29 and a half.
I just got 29.
28 and a half? What did you get?
I got 29.
29 and a half?
I got 32.
I'd have to look it up, but if you were exact on your estimating and stuff, I think it was 29 and a half. 32 can't be right, because that's...
I already got it. So
I got 32.
You got 32? Okay, that's fine.
I got 28 and a half. Is that what you said?
That one's pretty close.
what's for B then?
1, 2, 8. So, once you find what A is, do you need to spend all the time counting B?
No.
Because how many total blocks are there?
64.
There's 64. So just take your answer off of 64. Well, mine just happened to be right in half, which again isn't quite right, but if you got 29, then subtract that off of 64, and that'll give you what B is. Okay, everyone got their answers here? So, for number 4, the number of pizza delivery calls is consistent for all of Squaresville. You have 40 people overall to staff the 2 pizzerias. How many workers do you need for each pizzeria? Now mine, again, since I didn't have it exact, since I got 32 in each one, exact same area for each one, how many workers would work at each one?
20.
20, right? But now, if you didn't get that, say you got 29.
Or what about like 28 and a half?
Well, you do the same thing as what I'm going to do with 29. So that means 29 out of 64 have to work in A, right? So 29 64ths times 40 workers,
Okay.
and then you got to round your answer. So 29 divided by 64, that's 45% of your workers. So take that times 40. That turns out to be 18.125, which I would round to 18 workers. So then once you have that, then you just subtract that off of 40
What if I got 17.8? Would you round it to 18?
to 18, yeah.
So how do you do it with... So get 32 to 32 divided by 16.
Well, 32 is half.
Yeah, so it's just...
So if you got half, then it's 20 and 20. You just cut it in half. And then make sure you figure out what B is then, since if this is 18, then it's got to be 22 in B. Okay, then for number 5, if you're able to move 2 pizzerias, could they be placed in such that their areas of the delivery regions would be equal?
Yeah.
Okay, so how would I divide this?
In half.
You could cut it this way, right?
Yeah.
They want us to sketch all of them. Is there, so you could have like one here and one here? What's another way you could,
Any corner.
you could do it kitty corner. You could have one here and one here. There's one other way you could cut it in half,
The other horizontal.
this way.
So just pretty much just
Yeah, so those are the 3 possible. You could do the diagonal this way too, I guess, if you wanted to draw it. That would be different, I guess. So, that gets us to the worksheet you gotta do on your own now with 3 pizzerias. This one's a little tougher. No, you'll hand them in together. You use that one for reference for this one. Okay, so this one, I'm going to do a little sketch for you to show you. You may want to use, since it's going to be 3 regions, if you want to use colored pencils to keep track of them, they're up here. So, when you do this, are A and B in the same spots?
Yeah.
Roughly?
maybe.
No?
Yes, they are. Yes, they
Yeah, they are. And then C's down here.
This is what is the worksheet. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you've got your 3 restaurants there. You're going to have to do the same thing. To cut this into 3 regions, you got to make the perpendicular bisectors of each side. This is the same exact thing as the construction 7 on Friday. So, again, you don't need to draw this line, but you can. Now, everyone watch this before you start. When I make this perpendicular bisector, I get a line like this. Then when I do this one, I get a line like this. Then when I do this one, I get a line like this. Okay? Now, well, yeah, because we need all 3 regions.
Right.
So, this is, you're going to get a picture like this. This is why you might want colored pencils, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 regions now. So everyone look at this now, so I don't have to explain it 100 times. For B, the distance from here to here and there to there is closest to B, which means what line could you erase or color over? This one right here. C, it goes from, remember you use your perpendicular bisectors. From here to here, it goes up to this line, and then it goes to that line from B to C, which means this is not included. And then for A goes up to this perpendicular bisector and this perpendicular bisector, so you get rid of that line.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so that's, you got to get rid of some. That's why you can either shade over or erase parts of it. So remember, the lines you use from A to B, it's this line. From A to C, it is this line. So you only use this one and this one for A. That's why you get rid of the part of this one that comes through. Okay?
Is that it?
And then the questions are the same types of questions, exactly the same questions, except with 3. Yep.